It just goes to show, if you take a chance and play these Primavera players, yeah, they make mistakes, but they learn from the mistakes.
You need to be focused on the game until the last minute.
Imagine Mike, a little guy that is beating you.
Why do I have to be a little all the time?
You little guy that is beating you on soccer.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Gaetano with a nice
he's making fun. He's making fun of AC Milan.
Gaetano goes to the tennis salons now.
You got a 10.
You got a good 10. You look good.
We're in the middle of winter.
I know.
What's your secret?
But it's nice in Florida. It was nice. So I played the tournament, the over 65 tournament.
Bello.
5 games in 5 days.
Wow.
The first 3 games I play about 45, 50 minutes.
Wow.
The last 2 games I play almost 90 minutes.
Anybody dropping dead?
I scored 3 goals, 2 assists.
So you play more than the people complaining about Champions League 2 times a week. You play every day.
Why didn't you bring him in?
He's not...
They had a water boy already.
He looks like 75, but he's not 65 yet. There are two divisions for 60. There's so many teams.
Antonio needs to stay here and get tricked by us every single day that he walks into the studio. For the people that don't know, every single day that Antonio comes in, we do a prank on him.
Let's go. Come on.
Today Lazio played the prank on Milan.
Mikey!
That was good, Mike.
That was good.
I was supposed to laugh.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
We haven't talked about the Juventus situation, the Campionato, which now that we're talking about the Campionato, I think the tone is going to be a lot different in terms of who we think is going to win the Scudetto. After this past weekend, I think we're all going to pretty much agree that the Napolitani won't like to hear this, but I think that the Scudetto is going one way after 12 points. Yeah, Ludovico is watching this, and he's doing this. But let's start with Antonio, your Milan, because that's the game that just finished. What a disaster. It's been a poor start to 2023 for AC Milan. You had the game against Roma where you're up 2-0, gave away 2 goals in the last minutes when Roma was never inside of a match. You had the match against Lecce where you're down 2-0, you came back 2-2, knocked out of the Coppa Italia by Torino. Then what was the other match before that? You had another...
The Supercoppa.
The
Supercoppa
with Inter.
Against Inter.
Yeah,
And I thought that there was...
Qatar. And that's it.
There was one more, no? 5.
No.
There was 5. There was 5.
There was a 5th game.
Yeah.
You're probably just not...
No. We lost to Torino. We lost Torino.
Milan are winless their past 5 games in all competitions.
I think I mentioned only 4 games. Anyway, bad start. And then today was...
Roma.
No, I said that.
Yeah, he said Roma.
Roma, Torino, Lecce.
He
said that.
And then
Inter and Lazio.
Oh, Lazio. So today's the 5th one.
Yeah.
Been a long day. All right, people.
You must be happy.
Today topped it off. No, I'm not happy at all. Not happy at all because I did not think... I thought that this game going into it, when you think about what was at stake for Lazio, it was trying to believe in the Champions League dream with a result. But for Milan, it was turning morale around and still trying to keep in the Scudetto race. And this is a Milan that we know is struggling, but today was worst performance maybe I've seen from Milan in a long time.
I think that, if you know a little bit about baseball, it has nothing to do with soccer, but they were taking bad in practicing on us. Technically, the Lazio, they took us, shopping on a shopping cart. They put us in. They were just driving us all over the place.
I'm glad you recognize. You were so happy when
it was a disgrace to watch. This team is unrecognizable.
Yeah, that was bad.
I see the body language of some of the top players that you guys keep saying that they were MVPs last year. I don't believe at all. My MVP difference between you and I. You believe
Magnan?
Yeah, Magnan was by far the MVP. So the defense is unrecognizable because there is no leadership on the back over there. Tata Rusciano looks like somebody that is starting to learn the shape of the ball. That that is not a square; it's kind of round.
He was
but it was a 1-on-1.
The third goal.
What happened?
The third goal.
Yeah,
He had an hour to come out, take the ball, get a cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette, and then kick the ball away.
Continue.
It's bad. It's bad. Nobody's blameless.
But why do you think the question I have? You said the leadership in the back line, but the players are pretty much the same in terms of the leaders in the back with Tomori and Kalulu, who are unrecognizable. I'll agree with that. Calabria on the right side, Theo Hernandez wasn't there, so they had to put Serginho Dest, but it can't put it all on Dest because even when Theo was there, he hasn't been in shape of himself. Why do you think it's any different than last year?
It's the goalkeeping. Goalkeeping is very different. There is no leadership on the backside. They have no guides. Those people, they're even now afraid to give the ball back to Tatarusano. I see them, they play not scared, but they have no reference. That was the light for us on the backside.
You surely can't blame this all on Maignan, though.
No, yes.
No.
Maignan is missed big time.
He is. But
Big time.
That's not the only thing.
On the
though.
starting
But
of
you're
the
saying that the
game.
defender. I understand what
the
you mean in terms of
defender not
organization.
there.
Yeah,
But
but you're
not
talking about the
there.
defender. But
Individual mistakes can't be put down on
Tatarusano.
You can't blame
For
everything
sure.
on the goalkeeper
Yeah,
today.
Tatarusano.
Listen, 2 of the goals at Tatarusano.
Not 2. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're one-on-one with the keeper, how much you want the goalkeeper?
No, Mike,
do
we're saying Tatarusano was at mistake on the 3rd goal. You're absolutely right on that.
It is
but
just
we're saying there's so many mistakes
the
from the
Collettivo is not
defense
there. They're not playing as a team
in
right
general.
now.
The 3rd goal was the
penalty.
The penalty.
But he doesn't come out. The ball is sent down the line, and the guy stands inside his net. He stands inside the goal.
It was supposed to come out. He had all the time to come out. He actually kind of committed and then went back.
But was that ball in the small area?
No, but
I
almost,
thought it was
but
not
he had
in
a
the
lot
small
of, He had
area.
a lot of time.
I thought
He
it
had a
was
lot
in
of
the
time.
big
It was
area.
deep enough for him to come
the
out.
first goal was like a penalty. The 3rd goal was a penalty.
This Serginho Desti was a disaster.
The 4th goal
today.
was in front of the goal. He couldn't have done anything. So I don't know which goal you really blame him. I think it's the defense. Okay, it's part of the defense, but don't blame everything on the goalkeeper.
I agree
It's
with
both.
you.
When they present themselves in front of the
goalkeeper is
goalkeeper.
defending. Goalkeeper is
I know.
defending.
Yeah,
And at
that's
the
right.
same
But don't
time,
blame everything on the.
But
on
Anto,
them.
I think even if Milan had Maignan, I just think with last year, the Scudetto pact of them all sticking together, believing that goal, they achieved that goal. And now I feel like Pioli's finding it hard to motivate this side. I think that's what the real reason.
motivation is the word.
And-
I don't see them motivated.
And I feel like they don't look like they're not hungry.
And
Like they
they-
But
were
how
like
can
last
how can they not
season.
be hungry? They're such a young team. They only won 1 trophy.
I think it goes down to the coach. I think it goes down to Pioli. Pioli's job is to motivate the team, and the team does not look motivated. Regardless of who you have there, you're supposed to be playing. And Milan right now do not look like the champions of Italy defending the title. They look like a team fighting to stay in Serie A.
Okay, so
honestly.
one pushback to that. Yes, motivation plays a factor, but what about individual mistakes? Like that down to Pioli that it feels like Kalulu and Tomori, not just
No,
in this
that's not
game,
down to
they
yeah.
forgot how to defend.
Yeah.
Even there's so many just individual
the
mistakes
positioning,
that are
it's horrible.
atrocious defending. It is. I agree with everyone. I think that part of the factor is that Milan, what they did last year was almost a miracle. Everything went right for them last year. It's credit to them. They sacrificed as a team, but reality has a little bit caught up, in my opinion, because no players that you put in from the bench make any difference. The signings from the summer have not made a difference. It's a reality of the situation at Milan, and it's a moment. It's a really bad moment, but you don't expect it to go this far. That Lazio side totally dominated every aspect of the game,
and no Immobile either.
and no Ciro Immobile.
I wish actually Immobile would have been in because probably it would have been a different game for us. But
so if we look at leadership, right? You said there's no leadership in the back. There should be leadership in the front with Giroud because he's the guy that he's got all the experience, but he's not scoring, so maybe he's a little bit down.
Cold.
They took him out.
He looks tired too.
The thing that upset me maybe the most is, and I didn't see the whole game, I only saw parts of the game, is the body language of Leao.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if
By
you
far.
guys agree or not because I didn't see the whole game, but
It's
there was
bad.
I saw a couple of minutes when he lost the ball and he just gave up. He was just
walking.
looking.
But this has been doing for 5 games now, Gaetano.
Eh?
He's been doing this for the last 5 games. Every single game, he loses the ball. You don't see him fighting back. You don't see him trying to make up.
But
nothing.
is there any player on Milan in the past 5 games?
Giroud's been invisible too. You can't just put on one. At least Leao tries to beat a man, even though he's not successful.
But we're saying, and a lot of people are saying he's the best player. Okay, he's
So,
one
yeah,
of
there's more
the
pressure on him.
he's one of the top players.
Yeah.
Okay, that they have who's got a lot of talent. So what happened? I think that Tomori tries, Kalulu tries, and maybe they had a bad game. When I saw the starting lineup, I said, "Well, why isn't Kjaer starting? He should be starting this game." But then he came in.
Because Tomori got hurt,
Tomori got hurt, but
and then Calabria got hurt.
he was not. He didn't make any difference in the back. So, as far as the leadership is concerned, maybe I agree with you a little bit on Maignan. Maybe he's got more leadership coming from the back. But I would not blame everything on the goalkeeper for today.
Yeah.
I think everybody had a really bad game.
Yeah.
But how many bad games are you going to have? So that's the question.
Listen, last year, Gaetano, AC Milan winning parameter on the field was the speed. We had speed on every position. The ball never stopped. Now we're stopping the ball, we're taking the ball back and all of that stuff. What Lazio did today is what AC Milan was doing last year. The ball was running. Bam, 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 bam. This year, I think at least the last 5 or 6 games, the ball, it keeps going back and back and back and back
Pulling
and back.
teeth.
Even when you are losing, they always wanted to start everything straight from the back.
So what do they have to do? What does Pioli have to do going forward?
Is
my question.
I think he wants. He might want to rest a couple of those players that they feel too much responsibility. For me, Leao, I think is scared right now to take on the responsibilities, because when the ball gets to the 3/4, if you are closer to the right hand side, they try to feed Brahim Diaz or Junior Messias. If he's on the left side, Leao is going to get the ball, and then he makes the first mistake, the second mistake, the third mistake, and he's starting to get himself all shuffled up
Who are you
there.
going to play though, Anto? Brahim
But who
Diaz
you
is
gonna play?
delivering.
Well, who you gonna
Alisson
play?
Becker's not
But
delivering.
Leao
Messias
is not making
Giroud's
things.
not delivering.
Leao
Who's
is
gonna
not
do
making
something?
things happening,
So
Mike.
you're going to bench him?
I would bench him. I
For
would definitely
who?
bench him. And to me, again,
There's no one
these
available.
rumors of the contract, the signing, and all the stuff, it's part of the problem. His body language, like Gaetano said, it's conducive to somebody that is got clouds up there, and it's not really thinking straight. It's not focusing on the field.
So 2 things, and then we're going to talk about Lazio. We're just getting Milan out of the way. One thing that I noticed is that I think in the summer I was totally wrong, where I thought Kessi's absence would not be felt, and I think this year I am feeling that there's not somebody in the midfield who's willing to break up play, who wins the ball back quickly, who provides another option, because even with Kessie, you're able to play 3 men in the midfield. Whereas right now, where I still think Pioli should consider putting a 3-man midfield, a 4-3-3. You could put Krunic and Pobega. They're not great options, but you're sort of forced to this. I think the Kessie loss is being a lot more felt, and I definitely didn't think it would have been as much as it is right now. The other thing, and Mike Grella pointed this out, I thought it was interesting. Every time Leao gets the ball, or another teammate of Leao, like Brahim, Junior Messias, Salamakers, they don't have the confidence to really do anything themselves. You see a lot of times, De Catalare, they get in. They're just relying on, they're passing the ball to Leao, who has 2-3 guys on
And
him.
hoping he beats them with
and
speed or whatever.
they're not really taking the risk of going forward. And when I listen to Pioli's press conference, I see him stressing constantly that he feels like his team doesn't have clear heads. He said it looks like they're not with that same calmness and clarity that they had last year. And when you look at those little moments, you kind of feel that. It's definitely a combination of a lot of those things that are adding up to this Milan side and hitting them at a terrible point. For me, it's very difficult going forward. Do you think, because these are the real rumors, I want to get your thoughts, Zaniolo, option for January. Do you want him? Because that right side, Messias or even Brahim Diaz, I think Zaniolo is an upgrade over both of them.
Zaniolo is not doing well in Rome. He didn't do well in Rome. It's not an upgrade for AC Milan. And I think AC Milan, it should be spending money for somebody like Ziyech. I think Ziyech is by far is so much better than Zaniolo. Zaniolo comes with a big baggage. Why is he leaving Roma? Roma is doing extremely well right now. Why is Zaniolo on the verge of disappearing from Roma? What the hell is going on with this guy here? You don't want to get somebody that is all messed up on his head. I mean, he's a great guy, might be a great guy off the field, but you want to get somebody that is going to contribute to the team. You don't want to get somebody that, he might score 1 goal and then 3 or 4 weeks goes scoreless and then he gets himself all messed up.
He doesn't score a lot of goals.
No,
That
he's
is true.
got 1 goal in 19 games.
What do you think about it?
I'm not high on this. I was never high on him. I
Better
don't
than
understand.
Milan's right wingers
Well,
right now,
listen,
though,
if they-
regardless.
But is it worth putting 30 million? Because
No,
for
it's
Roma,
million.
not
Are you
worth it.
kidding
But it's
me?
still an
for,
upgrade.
for,
Too
yeah,
much.
but for Milan, I'm sorry.
No,
we
it's
know
not.
how money is right now.
Yeah.
Every dollar, every million that you spend needs to go to the proper spot.
I'd rather get him if they don't have any other names. I'd rather have him than no one at Milan, because he'll still be an upgrade.
Zaniolo?
Between
No, I'll take
Messias and
Ziyech.
Salazar.
No, I'll take
I'm saying
Ziyech.
if he was the only name, is what I'm saying.
There's not.
Okay,
do you think about
so
Zaniolo?
is it on loan to Milan? Or
It
is
would probably be loan with obligation or
yeah,
option.
option.
They're still trying to work out the terms. Zaniolo has requested to leave Roma. Roma, Mourinho says that he doesn't think that he's going to leave. He says in the end he thinks he's going to stay because maybe Tottenham or Milan are not going to find the formula to make him go there. But Zaniolo wants to leave. He does not want to stay in Rome.
Okay, so if he wants to leave, get rid of him. I mean, I like Zaniolo. I have said it before. I don't think he's a forward. He scored 1 goal in 19 games. You're not a forward.
So what's his position?
His
Right
position
wing.
to me
Right wing.
is a wing. If you play, he needs 2 other forwards in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you play the 3-5-2 and he's got 2 center forwards or 2 people up front, he could be the wing that goes up and makes the cross. And he works hard. He goes up and down. So I think he can play. But he's not a forward. If you put him as a forward, he doesn't score. He runs. But
can
he
see him on the
doesn't.
forward.
So is that what Milan need though?
He doesn't finish.
So do you think
or
that
if
was
you
what
play
Milan
the 4-4-2, it could be also one of the outside that they can go and cross the ball. But he needs other people to score. You cannot rely on him to score.
that's the only
Now,
thing.
as far as Milan's concerned, I would get him in a heartbeat.
No.
Yeah, of course. You need somebody up there who's doing it.
Yeah, they don't
Messi
have
is not doing
anyone.
anything.
Salas
Salamaker is
Vegas-
not doing anything.
Ziyech is willing to come. Ziyech, I think the rumors is that Ziyech, it might be an option for us. I mean, if I have to choose between Ziyech and Zaniolo, by far.
Understood.
But if that was an option, would you take Zaniolo instead of no one?
Mike, he's
Or
an
no
option. I won't take Zaniolo. I'm not high on him at all.
Come on.
All right, so let's talk about Lazio because that was one of the best performances I've ever seen. They were tactically to a T. The way
Perfect.
that everyone from back to front knew their role, found spaces, helped each teammate out. There was always options. Their
Sonic ball,
abilities to
baby.
find triangles were incredible. And I have to say, from up top, Felipe Anderson, sensational. Zaccagni, a player that, I'll be honest, I always thought was on average. He's a good player. I never thought he made the difference. He is making the difference this year. Goals, assists. He does a little bit of everything. He scored in 3 straight games, which he's never done in his career. Felipe Anderson scored in 3 straight. Milinkovic-Savic, when he wants to be, is the best midfielder in Serie A.
Pedro is an excellent player too.
Pedro, from back to front, even Cataldi, who Cataldi is not a sexy name. You look at everyone else, you don't say, oh, I love Cataldi. But he does so much of the
Dirty
cleanup
work,
work
yeah.
and winning the ball back, because I think that's one aspect to why Lazio have the second best defense in the league. They have 11 shutouts. They had 9 last year. They have 11 now. One of the reasons is, yes, Romagnoli has been great in the back for them. Yes, defensively, they've been solid. But it's also that their midfield and their attackers, they win the ball back quickly when they lose the ball. It's 5-6 seconds. They're pressing to win the ball back. So the more that they hold the ball and the more that they let Milan play in non-dangerous positions, the less that they're going to concede. From top to front, I have to say, this Lazio side is so good. And finally, my last point is they're winning the big games. It's now against Atalanta, Roma, Inter, and Milan. The only 2 games that they slipped up on against the big teams is Napoli, which everyone loses to Napoli, and Juventus, which was a bad game. The problem with Lazio is that the small teams, they'll lose to Salernitana, they'll tie to Udinese, Torino. Those are the games they have to match up on, but I'm so impressed with this Lazio side.
It's interesting watching when Immobile is out, how his mind works playing not a real striker there, playing someone that's, like a false nine, like how we do with Mertens and Napoli. It was good. It was fun watching them play, but then again, I give them all the credit. They did incredible. Then again, it is kind of easy to play that kind of football when Milan didn't even show up on the pitch. They pretty much gave them the ball and let them have at it, and it was dangerous. It could have been more. It was 4-0. It could have been 5-6-0.
But Mike, let me go back
You
to
know what I'm
Leao,
saying?
what we were saying before
Wait,
about Leao.
come on, no, we're talking about Lazio.
No,
Anto.
we're
We
talking about
passed
Lazio.
Milan.
I'm talking about Lazio. Lazio defenders, every time that the ball moved to the right, they always double or triple marked Leao. So
Yeah,
they were
course.
expected. So what they did, they took him out of the game immediately. No option. He never go down. He never went down. Maybe once or twice he was able to cross or just come inside and then take the shot. That's it. They limited Leao to nothing. So they did the double or triple
teamed him.
guard and triple teamed him, and that's it. They took him out of the game. It was expected, like a phone call that just, oh my God, somebody's going to call me in 10 minutes. And you waiting. Oh, the phone is ringing. That's it. So that's what Leao is becoming for AC Milan. Someone that is been known that at some point the AC Milan game is going to go through him. So all they do, they just corner him.
Contain
That's it.
him.
They contain him. That's it. The game is over right there. So
Where is your phone, by the way?
my phone is on my pocket.
Okay. Because it's going to ring soon. They're going to call you every 10 minutes.
You got a point.
Let me mute it.
Good
What do
call
you
right
think about
there.
Lazio?
So, Lazio's made me look bad because I took them, to be one of the top teams at last year.
Oh yeah, you put them in the top 4 last year.
Yeah, because they got so much talent. This team. And when you look at that midfield, one of the best midfielders, Milan, one of the best midfielders in Serie A. Anderson, what a talent! They got so much talent, but then what happens? When they play against a small team, they fail. And my question to you is why? Why do they play today great game and then they go play against a smaller team and they lose or tie the game? What do you think? I know the reason, but
the professor.
Why do you think this happens?
I'm sure yours is something about Sarri. I think that's where you're leaning towards. For me, I mean, it comes down to the mentality and the motivation of a team. There are certain games that you'll watch other teams play that they always will win those matches, and there's more smaller teams in Italy than there are bigger teams.
And is that a preparation to the game? Are you prepared the game? And who prepares the game?
The coach.
Okay, so that's my big problem. And you can discuss this, and I would like to know, you told me your opinion, which I agree. I would like to know also Grella's opinion, if he agrees with that. What happens to these teams that they play a great game? Inter plays a great game and then they lose against the Empoli, or they lose against Salernitana, and they lose against these teams. What happens to those teams? To me, it's the preparation of the game and the motivation and the way the coach prepares. It's got a lot to do with it. And you can take Sarri all the notes that you want after every goal. He's writing after every goal. He's writing something. I don't know what the hell he's writing, because he could watch the goals.
Maybe that's extra fries for this guy here.
Gaetano, I was gonna say, I think what's what both you guys said. It's not hard to be motivated when you're playing against Inter, against Milan, against Juventus. You're already breathing fire. You see all these stars. You're getting excited.
But that's my point.
But then you play a small team like Salernitana. It's hard to find that motivation to play. That's what I think.
I had a teammate. And this teammate of mine, he played for the Asian national team.
Oh, wow.
Asian national team?
Asian national team.
Okay.
I mean, he was on the 1974 World Cup team. And the guy is a...
Could you say his name?
When Eric Breton.
Nice.
Okay. So, when we were playing against a team that we knew, like... We won tournaments. We won most of the tournaments. For 15 years, we went around the world playing tournaments. We won most of the tournaments. But when we were playing against a team that in the morning everybody said, this team,
exactly.
He would get so upset. He would get so upset that we were thinking, oh, this is an easy game. This game we're gonna walk all over them. We're gonna score 5-6 goals. Even though he knew that we were gonna score 5, but he got upset at our attitude before the game. And as soon as the game started. If you miss one tackle, if you miss one pass, from the first minute, he was yelling at you and screaming at you like, we were winning certain games for nothing and we will miss a pass. You should have seen how upset it would get. But it's for nothing. It doesn't matter. It's the concentration. Okay? There are teams that have lost games 3-0. They were winning 3-0 and they lost the game.
Why'd you look over at Antonio?
And I always think about
Milan.
I always think about this teammate of mine, which to me, it was the top player that I play with. He signified to me, that the strong will, and sometimes they go like this. The coaches go like this. To be always focused on the game, no matter what the score was, you need to be focused on the game until the last minute. You need to play your hardest, and this is what I sometimes I see these teams, and I feel like they're not focused.
Okay, so tactically, maybe this is just a question, and then we'll move on. We'll move on to other stuff. Do you think maybe Lazio struggles because Lazio loves to find space? So teams that try to go out and attack them, it's a little bit easier for them. They struggled in a match against Juventus where Juventus plays this low block and they're not able to find space. Do you think that's it? That some of these smaller teams, they play a style that's not conducive to how they try to play?
No. I don't think so. I don't think that's it.
Milan wasn't even attacking.
Huh?
Milan wasn't even attacking for them to
But
do
they
that.
still left space. They
That's
play a high line.
Because they kept making individual
I know,
mistakes.
but my point is that
and
the
errors.
other teams play low blocks. Juventus play a low block. They put everyone in the area. Milan, okay, maybe they didn't attack efficiently, but they always play a high line. They rely on their speed in the back to try to get them out of situations.
I think it's a mix of a few things for sure.
I don't know. That's my question. I'm thinking out loud with
10,
how I'm
15
thinking
yards
about
that
it.
Marco is saying,
They kill you there.
A huge difference. Not
They
a little.
kill
But this
you.
game, it wasn't that small difference. It was every aspect.
Look at the way that Felipe Anderson as a false
All
nine.
over.
If this is the defenders, right? Felipe Anderson goes here, he checks in. It leaves space for a guy like Milinkovic-Savic, where I don't remember who it was that followed Felipe Anderson one time, left a complete
totally open
space for Milinkovic-Savic to get in. So, maybe
I think it was
at
Kalulu.
Juventus, a lot of times, all right, that guy runs over there, don't worry about it. We're staying put. We're sticking here. And maybe you don't concede goals like that. Anyway, let's move on to Inter, who Inter's another team that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, is that the
Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll and Hyde, whatever it is. They have so many different faces to this team, ups and downs. You think that they're going up, they're going to compete for the Scudetto. They'll beat Milan in convincing fashion. They'll beat Napoli, and then they'll lose to Empoli in the San Siro.
Convincingly.
In the San Siro, they lose to Empoli. They put on such weird performances. They're Pazza Inter. They have that saying, Pazza Inter, crazy Inter.
Right?
This fits this team to a T.
Yeah, it does.
There's a lot to peel back from this one between coaching. The one thing I'll start with is, and then we'll credit Empoli, of course, but for Inter, Skriniar gets the red card, and Skriniar's another one. You talked about players like this. You always get annoyed when players are in these contract years. I think you've been vocal about it already. When players are negotiating with other teams in terms of their contract, they have one that's expiring in June, which is Skriniar's situation. In the summer, they rejected an offer for him from PSG. They wanted him to stay. They made him an offer. Skriniar is not happy with the amount that's negotiated. So many of these things are on the line. And then what's so embarrassing, in my opinion, is Skriniar's agent is out there talking openly during the game, during the match. You have an interview drop from Skriniar's agent talking about how he's going to go to PSG and talking about these numbers, and then he gets sent off in a very important match where we're saying small teams, you got to be focused, you got to win games. Leaves his team exposed. Not blaming everything on Skriniar, because as we'll talk about, there's many mistakes within this Inter side, and besides maybe Lautaro Martinez, who's the only one that I would say has been good in 2023 for the team. What a nightmare.
I wish Peter was here to talk more about this, but Gaetano, I brought you up last podcast, and I talked about Inzaghi specifically. I think you're the only one that stuck to your guns when you're talking about Inzaghi, how you didn't really like him that much. You didn't think he was a top coach. And I switched from the side to liking Inzaghi to go into your side and be like, yeah, maybe he's not a top coach, because I don't think someone like Conte would let a team like Inter lose to a team like Empoli after just beating Milan 3-0. I don't think your opinion changed, but anything to add from what you said about
besides just
Inzaghi?
comparing him to, I'm with you, Mike, and I had the same thing where I think Inzaghi does so many great things that you start to believe like, wow, this guy can be a top coach. And I think he deserves merit for what he did with Lazio with a small budget, making them compete. But we've seen many moments within the past. Last year, I gave him the slack. I said, first time in a high pressure situation, you make mistakes. This year, he's making those same sort of mistakes. But not to compare him to Conte, but just in general, what do you take on?
Yeah, he drives me crazy. He's another guy that drives me crazy, like like Lazio. He does so much beautiful performance. You say, man, this team is, and then he goes and
the opposite.
The opposite with the small teams. And again, to me, he does not have that, that character, that strong character. Hey, this is the game now. The most important game is against Salernitana. The most important game is against Cremonese. Those are the games,
Empoli.
That you have to. And I don't know if he prepares the team mentally, because the coaches in Serie A, we talk about coaches, and I read that the coaches in Serie A, it's all mental. These are professional players. They have so many coaches. They got 5, 6, 7 coaches who does the physical exercise, who does but the coach, you have to prepare them mentally.
Yeah, for sure.
Mentally. And I think sometimes he lacks. That's what he lacks.
Let me just
What do you think went wrong for Inter?
I think Inter is suffering from the same kind of a sickness that AC Milan is suffering. I mean, you see in the performances up and down. But from Inter, again, aside from Skriniar that has been rumored to go or whatever, it's already gone, whatever the case might be, it's a law that is becoming that applies to each of the 5 or 6 big teams that we have in Italy. In other words, we have a team that discovered 2-3 talents. All of a sudden, the eyes of the rest of the Europe gets laser focus on those talents, they disappear from the Serie A because we can no longer afford to retain them because of the value, the market value of those. It's such that it's either you sign them for big names, for big money, otherwise you're going to lose it. Then, the contract start to get into the head. Leao is one of the example. The AC Milan, Skriniar is the other one. Donnarumma was the other one. What's his name? Kessie was the other one. This is the law of soccer. Soccer now is played at this extremely high level, and only the big fish eats the small fish. So right now, Serie A has been one of the best, one of the most spectacular campionato. But every time that a big fish comes up from the bottom, all the laser of the rest of the Europe and the world gets focused on them. They take them away, they put them inside their fish tank, and they let them play over there.
So how do we fix that?
How do you fix it? I don't know how do you fix it. I mean, you cannot really stop somebody from leaving. You can just, put clause that you cannot really take a player, ahead of the time. I mean, the team has to have the say. I mean, this kind of a contract expiration, something has to be done. Because a contract is like even a verbal contract is a contract that is still valid. So if you have given me your word that you will be playing for AC Milan for the next 5 or 6 years, and then PSG calls you, but they give you $10 more, and then you're leaving, then I said, hey, you told me on such and such a day that you will be sticking your neck out for AC Milan. No, just because they're offering you more money, you're going to leave.
No, I'm not sure that's going to work.
There's going to be a way. It's going to be a way to...
You signed this player for 3 years. You signed him for 4 years. And then at the end of the 4th year, he's going to be a free agent. Yeah, so what happens? You start talking about the contract a year before because you don't want to wait until the last year like Donnarumma, and then you get nothing. So that's the reality.
Again, this pressure exists because we do not have the money and the resources to retain those players.
So one thing about that, because I think your point is right about the big fish and the little fish. Obviously, it's a metaphor, but even the same thing happened a few summers ago with PSG and Real Madrid regarding Mbappe. PSG is the most financially well-off team in the world, and you saw an insane bidding war where even the president of France had to come in and get on Mbappe's side. It's a wild time for football right now. What we're seeing in the transfer market it's like sickening, the amount of money that's going around. I mean, when you think about Skriniar might be offered $25 million. He's basically has his transfer fee because he holds it out. He's going to get maybe this is the reports that he gets a 25 million euro bonus. We're not lawyers. We don't know. We can't solve this problem. I think though for Italy, one of the interesting things that I think we need to accept as the new reality for right now is that we need to develop young players. And there's a lot of young
Italian players.
In Italy, yes.
Primavera players. Yeah.
Players that develop in Italy, because that's where we can make our mark on the amount of talents. Look at how many young players are breaking out this year. Since we're on the topic of Empoli, Parisi, left back, phenomenal player. Baldanzi, the man who scored the goal. Yeah. 19 years old, 4 goals in Serie A this year, a goal every 149 minutes. He's fast, he's speedy. But that also comes down to Empoli and the team that trusts to put a kid like this in, that builds him up from the Primavera. And Empoli has done this in a lot of regards. And to go a little bit deeper, besides just the players, it's also the ideas of our coaches. And Zanetti is a great example. Zanetti, I was a little bit mad at him, I'll be honest, in the beginning of the season because I didn't want Andrea Azzoli to be sacked at Empoli. Just a fan of what Andrea Azzoli did. But Zanetti, he's got the right idea.
He took over.
The way that they played Inter at the San Siro is not a normal approach for a team that's recently promoted to Serie A, that has players where he could go in the press conference and be like, look at them throwing on Lukaku and Gosens and all these guys. I don't have a roster like that. But he accepts the reality of where he is. He trusts in the young players, and he plays a positive style. Of course, it's easier when you are at Empoli, but I think we need to overall adapt more so that approach than trying to fight the market, which it's a battle that we're not going to win at the moment.
Yeah, and I think Empoli played good. Just really quickly, they brought the game to Inter. They could have. It was 1-0 only, and you probably would have thought if you didn't see the game, oh, they got a lucky goal, whatever. They played much better the majority of the game versus Inter. Inter didn't really have a lot of chances. They also looked off of it. They didn't look like the real team, just like Milan. Not as bad as Milan today. But Empoli looked like the much better team, and I was very surprised by this one. I think a lot of people are going to take notice of Zanetti more, take him more serious as a coach. And if he can keep this up with a lot of these youngsters, I don't know if you guys saw, but they had a lot of youth players come off the bench too. Satriano, who's on loan from Inter, came on also.
How old is he? He's young?
He's young.
19,
He looks
I
old.
think.
He looks like an older
19
soul,
or
but
20, I think.
Yeah, he's on the
really
younger
that?
soul.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, he looks old.
He must be. But they a lot of these guys were all youth players, and they played so well. It just goes to show, if you take a chance and play these Primavera players, yeah, they make mistakes, but they learn from the mistakes. They're a cheaper alternative, and it's better to see them grow in the academy.
But you still have a problem.
Yeah.
Because
What's the problem?
once these kids that are 19 years old, he scores a few more goals,
He's going to get sold.
they're sold. There's going to be somebody that's going to offer 30 million, and
Okay.
as soon as Empoli hears 30 million, the kid is going to be
Yeah.
sold. So how do you
Okay.
resolve this problem? So I think what you have to do is, the first thing, you need your own stadiums. Okay, we got to start getting smart. And if somebody has a lot of money and he wants to have their own stadium, let them build their own stadium. Roma has been fighting for a stadium for the longest time, and it is not happening. Fiorentina is fighting for a stadium, and it's not happening. Let them build their own stadium. Let them build restaurants in there. Let them build a mall. Let them make more money, because if they make more money, they will be able to spend more money, and they'll be able to retain some of these players, and marketing, so that you can make more money from TV. I think that's how I see you were the one that sent the message. I mean, you got Leeds United, you got
Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest,
Recently promoted.
Aston Villa. They're making over 200 million, 250 million, when Fiorentina maybe it makes 90. And these are not teams at the top. These are teams that
Relegation.
that are in the middle.
They come from Serie B, and they're making that much money.
And they're making 300 million. I think that's where, looking in the long term, this is what we have to do for Serie A. We need for the teams to make more money, whether it's with marketing, with the people going to the stadium. I mean, some of this curva, they paying $10 to go see a game. Hello, you're gonna make that's not good either. So you need to have better stadium. You need a better marketing, better TV, because you're going to get more money from the TV rights revenue, and then you can distribute, and so the Sassuolo, Empoli,
They have more money to spend in the
they got more
mercato.
money.
I think that part is key.
That's-
I know
yeah,
Mike's
it's a very
brought it up
difficult
many
one.
times. It's in the Premier League, they balance it out a lot more.
Right.
Where number one, Nottingham Forest gets a lot of money when they get promoted, but their TV revenue splits. It's not that, everything goes to Manchester United, Manchester City. And I know the big teams in Italy, Juventus, Inter, they all want all the money because everyone watches. But if you don't have a balanced league,
Right.
if
It
you don't have
messes
the money
everything else.
that's spread out, then we're going to be so top heavy. And yes, we're winning with ideas. And I think we've done a great job at winning with ideas and coaches. But can you imagine if we put money behind some of those ideas? That, for me, that is where it lacks.
Let me introduce one more thing, since we are in the topic over here.
Tell me.
In baseball, they have luxury taxes. Okay, the big teams, when they exceed a certain amount of money that they spend for a roster, anything that is above that amount,
They pay extra?
they pay luxury taxes. And the luxury taxes, those are money that they go to the
Distributed to the lower
The
teams.
league.
So
to the rest of
if
the
you
league.
have this Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Juventus, or AC Milan, and all the stuff, making extraordinary amount of money, exuberant amount of money, because they have the power to buy. And when they sell, if you started to charge them luxury taxes, they said, hey, by the way, yes, you can take Leao away from us, but you're gonna have to pay 30% of the purchasing value
On top of
to
that.
the Italia, to the Serie A, because Serie A needs this money here to implement the game and to make sure that we encourage young talents and all the stuff. We can do something. We can just give the money to Empoli, or we can give the money to Sassuolo. We can give the money to those small teams that they just come out from the bottom.
I think what we need to do is, obviously there are different cultures, there are different footballs, different countries, but for me, the model for Premier League has worked. Find what they did back then to get to this point and implement that. If it means that you have to distribute and teams are mad, like, we need to find a way to get towards that level, because we have the history. We have the fans that have been following this for so many years. That is not bought. That's a part that you can't make up. You can't erase 100 years of everything that teams have put into it. We have that ability. And I think that we have ideas, because I believe that. I think that we have talent, which we see. I believe that we have coaches that are coming up that are top. You look at Italian coaches around the world, even.
Some of the best.
They teach everybody. I mean, Ancelotti at Real Madrid, Conte when he won the Premier League. Like, when you look at how many spread out all across, we have that, but we don't have the structure. Anyway, gets into a deeper conversation that probably is better for another day. Speaking about problems in Italy, let's talk about this whole plusvalenza case, plusvalenza gate, whatever we're calling it. Juventus were docked 15 points from the current Serie A because they have they had this whole problem about 10 months ago where they were inflating the values of players, which is capital gains, is plusvalenza, and they were cleared initially along with a few other teams like Napoli and other squads, but the case was reopened in an appeal, and the reason why is because they found wiretaps from Juventus officials who were speaking openly, saying things such as, there's Paratici on tape saying, don't worry, don't even write anything in. I'm going to fill it all out for you. You sign it. Trust me, I've been doing this for years. These sorts of things have led the courts to dock Juventus 15 points. They have to give the official reasoning, because technically we don't know, within a few days, within 10 days. And then we'll find out the exact number. Juventus have already gotten rid of the board. Agnelli, Nedved, Cherubini, everybody out, to bring in a board that is going to appeal this new case. And the points cannot change. It can't be reduced from 15 to 10 to 5 to 6 to 8, whatever it is. It can only be wiped out clean to 0 if they find that they did not follow procedure correctly. So some of the recent...
They who? The Giustizia Sportiva.
So now it's going to be the sporting court that will decide. I believe it was civil court. Lots of terminology. I'll be honest, it's not easy to remember everything. It can be very confusing. We're not lawyers. We don't have degrees in this field. We are just simply fans that are obsessed with the sport and are trying to learn it along the way. So, having said all of that, what has been everyone's takeaway from this?
I'll tell you what. Where there is smoke, there is fire. You know, when you're starting, this was not just one phone call that was picked up by the security or the finance, whatever. There's a lot more than that. So, and some of the stuff cannot really be put it on, because over there is criminality. The Juventus is a team that is quotato in borsa. In Italian means that your stocks are publicly traded. And when you're deceiving your stock, the holders, the people that they put in the money, they believed in you. I said, hey, I like the company. I want to invest my money over there. And then you're not totally transparent and honest with the stockholder. That's criminality over there involved.
So that's also why Juventus, I know there's many Serie A fans, there's many Juventus fans and Serie A fans, like the other teams that are involved. That is the main reason why Juventus at the moment is the main team in question and have already been docked points, is because they are a publicly traded company. They are restricted to different laws that they have to be abided by. There are other teams who have done the same thing. I mean, this has been in Italy forever. It's been in all of football. Right now, it's Juventus. There are expected to be other teams that are brought into the appeals, but the problem is it's difficult for anyone to prove what the market value of a player is. It's subjective. It's what someone wants to pay. One second, real quick. But they have wiretaps from Juventus where they were listening in on conversations for another case of the Prisma case, which is a whole different thing with their salaries, and they heard all of this where they're openly saying these things that they're doing to escape the system. So it's not denying that other teams have done this. There are many other teams, but Juventus at the moment are the only one penalized. I know you had a strong opinion on this. What do you think?
Well, as far as to determine the value of a player, I was talking to some of the Serie A top managers, and they have 5 different objective things that they use. I don't remember all 5 of them, but some of them are they look at a player more or less the age, the amount of goals, the skills, more or less the same, and see what has been sold in the last 6 months.
There's value.
The value. Then they talk to the doctors and they see, hey, how's this guy physically, and to make sure that the health is okay. Then they talk to the physical trainer and they make sure how does he train, the muscle. They check scientifically how physically this
fit he is.
And then there's another 2 things which I don't remember. So they try
Contract length.
Yeah, they try to determine more or less the value of a player, and they come pretty close to it. Of course, the agent is going to say is worth
higher than you're supposed to.
Supposed to. So that's how they determine more or less how much the player's worth. As far as what's going on now, it's a shame that now the fans get hurt. That had nothing to do with this. The players get hurt, which have nothing to do with this. And the fault is from the top management. So hit them where it hurts. I think they should get. You want to penalize?
Fine.
Penalize that. Give them a fine. Give them a fine that they will remember for the rest of their lives.
For example, what kind? How much?
Whatever. The court, let the court decide 100 million.
Mr. Molinari is laughing.
100 million.
100 million.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's how much a point. How much is
Maybe
a point
more,
worth? How
Mike.
much is a Serie A point worth to you guys?
Okay, so they have that too. If you're in the top 10, you get certain amount of money. If you go from 11 down, you get less money. So that's why even the 10th place is very, very important.
But the
for
way that they hurt a
team.
team the most is by docking points.
Yeah, but
Those players like Agnelli, Cherubini, Arrivabene, they're gonna be banned from Paratici, who he's not there. They will get banned.
Yeah, they get banned for a year, for 2 years.
10 years, 18 months to 2 years.
But
yeah.
I think
if you give Juve 100 million, they're gonna pay it over in 20 years.
But I think if you penalize them financially or for the
Criminal.
next...
Can it also be criminal?
Yes,
Because
it is.
if you're a publicly traded company,
It is criminal.
Or for the
Maybe
next
go to jail,
year...
I guess, maybe.
if you do that in any other company, you're lying about your revenues and where you're making money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're lying about that, I mean, listen,
It must
I'm
be
very-
different.
revenues.
In Italy, it must be
crime.
different.
If we're truly honest, I think there's every single team in the world is doing it
A little bit,
to an extent. Obviously,
Not
the
to that
problem
extent,
is,
though.
I also just think, I can't believe this. Juventus, you were caught in Calciopoli 2006, right? They had wiretaps, they had all this stuff. I get that this is not the same exact thing because they think that this is so open, you have plusvalenza, we're allowed to do it. But how do you get caught calling and on your phone? You must know that your phones are tapped.
They got too comfortable with it.
Yeah, you
maybe.
get so
I think
comfortable
that's
that
what
you're
it was.
openly saying
Yeah.
to another team, let me write all of your stuff for you. I mean, that is, it's unbelievable to me because I think, as we're sitting here at a table in freaking Brooklyn, New York, we think these guys are so high up in the world. They make millions of dollars. They're running one of the biggest football teams in the world. They can never be stupid enough to actually say these sorts of things to people. The fact that they do that is also mind-boggling to me. Whether it's an accepted practice is one thing, and I understand the argument from Juventus fans that say, okay, every team has done it, right? And I do think that there needs to be a rule. If one team is doing it, everyone should be treated equally. But it's a hard argument because they have wiretaps on you confessing that you are actually cheating on the prices of money.
Juve didn't help themselves though if they're saying it over phone calls and saying
you're a
it
publicly
openly
traded
and
company,
exactly.
which is not
That
allowed.
doesn't help at all.
This is the ruin of soccer in general and the society. This phone here, not my phone.
I thought you had a picture or
this
something.
phone.
I was looking.
Everything is on email. It can be retrieved. Nothing can be deleted. They know they can pinpoint your position, your location, whatever you said, even when the phone is off. They're listening to us right now.
They know Anto's 90% of his
Yeah,
life in the
those are-
studio.
we're speaking into microphones.
That's what I'm saying. Nick, you listen to us.
It's going to the YouTube.
So what I'm saying is,
It's just going to YouTube. Nobody's
but
going to
Marco,
hear
to
it.
your point before, you got caught before with this kind of stuff. I will have
different stuff.
Yeah,
let's
this
just
is
make, let's
a
make it
different
known.
kind-
Right.
One
scenario.
was
I will
clear.
write on a piece of paper what you wanted to do. Get somebody with a carriage, with a horse, and just go from Milan to Naples or whatever
That's a
you
man
gotta
from
go.
Body's solution.
Do what you gotta do, the old-fashioned style. Nobody's gonna know anything, but you starting
No,
to
but
email
that's,
and text and email. You're gonna get caught.
But that's not the point.
What's the point?
You can't. The thing is, I believe that these people are because they are so powerful and they are top families. They think that they can do whatever they want, that they're above the law, that they're not going to get caught. And they're looking at, hey, look at what PSG is doing, and look what Manchester City is doing. And now those guys, they don't get in trouble. We're not going to get in trouble. But other teams, the Italian teams get in trouble. Milan got in trouble a few years ago, right? You weren't able to participate
At the UEFA,
in the UEFA. So you got to be smart enough to realize, hey, I'm going to get caught. That this is a big problem. You know, maybe in Spain, the federation
It's different.
because Juventus was dealing with Barcelona. They were dealing with other teams.
That's a weird part to me.
Barcelona it doesn't apply to Barcelona or Madrid.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
what I'm
like
saying,
it's crazy, right?
The biggest case is the Pjanic Artur swap. So for me, I'm like, if Juventus are going to get in trouble for something,
Right.
there's also the other side that's culpable. Like, let's say for Genoa, for example, if you're allowing them to openly say we're going to do this, then okay, maybe let's say we robbed the bank, right? And I created the master plan. I said, guys, this is how we're going to do it, and then you guys all join me. Yes, okay, I created the plan, but if you all join me, you got to be in trouble as well.
Depends on bank.
No,
There's some better banks.
No, the Greek
There's
talks.
some-
That's why I was saying you don't want to rob a bank with a Greek because.
What do you mean? I'm honest. You mean I'm honest?
That's the problem.
I'm
I'm
an honest guy. That's why.
You know why Juventus got caught? I have to tell you the truth.
But wait, isn't that true though?
Yeah.
Doesn't the other side
everyone's
also
involved.
Juventus
Whoever's
got
involved.
caught into the net.
the ones that are on the wiretap?
just
Of
because
course.
it's a public traded company.
Yeah, I think that's
if
the biggest
Juventus was
thing.
not public
Yeah.
traded,
It would have been
this
harder
not
to get
even
them.
be an issue right now.
Because you're dealing with everyone else.
Okay.
It's not just
So
a
one-
club.
one thing
Juventus,
let's
what I'm
also-
saying, if you're gonna look at me, you're gonna look at PSG,
Yeah.
Real Madrid, Barcelona, Inter, Milan, Genova, Lazio, Roma.
Body.
Okay,
all of
we
them.
got it. Okay, so the last thing, they will be doing this ruling, they say within the next month or two,
Yeah,
to
next
find out. Again, they can't judge on, they have to judge it based on the protocol. Did they go against the protocol? Which Juventus think, I was reading Gazzetta today, and they think that they have a case in terms of how they went about stuff because they were already cleared 10 months ago of this same sort of thing. They're going to go based off that. Also, I was reading that the timing wise, there's time that you have to be able to register it by. And apparently they went beyond that. So there might be some technical legality things. My
There's a
personal opinion, I have no idea. I'm not connected to anything. I have a feeling that they're not going to be.
You're
I think
talking
the
about
15 points-
statute
It's gonna be
limitation.
hard.
I think the 15. Yeah, I think the 15 points will be removed. My personal
think so.
You think
opinion.
it'll be removed?
No,
Yes.
I don't
No,
think so.
I don't think it's gonna be removed.
I don't think
It's
so.
gonna be too hard to overturn. I think.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's gonna be too hard to
I think
overturn.
that Juventus brought in this entire board to try to find any little mistake. Like the board is a bunch of legal people. I think they'll look into the courts, and there's definitely loopholes that maybe they didn't, cross all their T's and dot their I's.
I would have thought that if the board didn't step down, then by the board stepping down, to be
no,
honest,
but they had to step down because they're going to be banned. They're banned from football. They brought in a board to be able to
Yeah,
fight
to
this.
overturn this.
See, that's
Yeah.
why I think that they will end up overturning it.
But why did they step away so long ago?
They had to because they knew this was coming out.
It's the legal
But
way
I
to
feel
do
like,
it. It's
but
the
by
only way
doing,
to do it.
but I feel like
they had to step down.
I hope it doesn't get more severe than this. But by this happening, I feel like it might be even more than we think, and it's gonna be very hard to overturn if there's that much evidence about it.
Mike, the thing that pisses me off the most is this. Juventus is the top team in Italy. Juventus, Inter, Milan, those are the three or four teams. So, it's casting a not so great light for Serie A,
Oh, of
and it's
course.
hurting all of us.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
Do you
hurts
agree?
everyone.
There's a lot of like Milan and Inter fans or Roma fans that think
I feel
that
bad. I
you
feel
do.
bad. Oh, I
It's
do.
not good for the league
You're right.
I
overall.
swear to God. No. Aside from the fact,
No, it's not good.
I am happy that Juventus got penalized, but inside myself, I feel bad for Serie A because
Yeah.
we are
They're
a
worse than
Serie A.
the league.
It's part
They're
of the
really
family.
bad.
It's an Italian team,
Yeah.
and it's in the Serie A. So I imagine Mike, a little guy that is beating you.
Why do I have to be a little all the time?
You little guy that is beating you
Gaetano,
on
you believe
soccer
this?
that you are Juventus. So Cremonese is beating Juventus, and it's the biggest thing. So when you're starting to take Juventus out of the equation, and Mike is going to start to beat on who? you know, you want to have somebody to beat on.
I didn't understand that example.
You didn't understand?
I'm a little guy.
Okay, so
I got that
take
he's a little guy.
Juventus.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Take Juventus,
Maybe other
Inter,
people
Milan
understood.
and Napoli at the Campionato Italiano. What do you have left? What do you have left?
The little guy.
The little guy.
Okay.
Okay, so just
Let's conclude. Yeah.
to conclude, I don't think it's fair that you penalize the 15 points. You want to throw Agnelli in jail, throw him in jail. I don't care. But you want to put Nedved in jail. They're criminal. They did something wrong. Put him in jail. You want to give him a fine, 100 million. I don't care. But it's wrong to me that in the middle of the Campionato now you take 15 points away. That to me doesn't. I disagree.
Well, let me just. I gotta reply to this. If you gain an advantage because you were allowed to do what you did, in other words, snatching those players and not declaring the exact value, the real value.
Yeah, but it's all about accounting. We're talking about accounting.
No.
It's
It's not accounting.
It is. It's bookkeeping.
But it
is.
also
It's a
messes.
balance of
It
both.
also messes with FFP, which is something that a lot of teams have had to suffer from.
I guess
and
that's
Juventus got an advantage because of FFP.
Yeah,
now
okay.
you want to say that an advantage was given to everyone because everyone in Italy.
There is even
but it depends the extent. Everyone in Italy does plusvalenza.
A little
it's to the
bit,
extent
yeah.
and it's
To-
to
But
how much
Marco,
it is
what
to your
about the
advantage.
technical advantage of you to be able to sign those big names because of the money that you were able to, to put it on the
Right
book
now.
like a
What's your
loss?
response to that, then?
So what is your response? I mean, you gain an advantage.
Come on,
over there.
avocado, Agnelli.
Paisan.
He called you an avocado.
I disagree with you.
All right,
I
you don't have to
disagree with
agree
you.
with me.
The guy made a mistake. Who was Agnelli is in charge of it.
Definitely not a
Wait,
mistake,
you're
though.
making it seem like it's an honest mistake.
Definitely
He
not a
knew what he was
mistake.
doing.
No, I know.
They
Yeah,
were
I know.
complacent.
They all know what he was doing.
okay.
The first one is Elkan, who's in
Yeah,
charge of
exactly.
it. He knew exactly what was going on, and he's right now. He's
on a beach right now.
was
Yeah,
at the game.
He got his cousin to pay for the. But the people that did this, okay, if they knew it, if they were listening, like you said, they were listening to the recording. Hey, right now, out. You're out. Right away, you're out of there.
Okay, all right. Now, if you are Lotito right
Take
now,
him
if you
out.
are Lotito and if you are De Laurentiis or if you are, I don't know.
Napoli will be one of the teams that they had the Osimhen case
Right.
that they were
Okay.
cleared of again. It could be they are looking into it, but again, the one big thing is that they don't have wiretaps on them and they're not a publicly traded company.
Okay, to reply to you, okay, I think everybody knows that Pjanic is now worth 60 million euros, okay, and Arthur is now worth 70 million euros. Stop it right there.
Yeah.
You have somebody in the federation that is looking at all this transaction. Let's look at the transaction. Hey, stop it right there. Don't come to me a year later and tell me
that is a good point,
a
too.
year ago. Oh, you made this.
Yeah.
Okay.
There should if it is like against stuff, there probably should be somebody monitoring
Yeah,
that.
monitor.
Hey, commesso,
could argue that for
il
Pjanic, no?
commesso,
Yeah,
il-
true.
Pjanic 60 million
At the time.
But you know
Was
what's
he in
why?
his prime?
But the crazy thing about that is that no money was exchanged.
That's true. No,
There's no
Yeah,
money
that was a
went
funny
from
business.
I buy something from you.
Yeah.
You don't give me any money
It
for it.
was a swap.
Roma also won. Love Paulo Dybala. 2 assists. What a player. The fact that this guy left on a free transfer and nobody else picked him up. Inter didn't want him. Juventus didn't want him. Couldn't afford him. Whatever. Different direction. Whatever you want to say. When he's healthy. Guy's top. Tamir Abraham also got back on the score sheet. You love to see it. Things going good in Roma. And the 15 points, whether they stay, they don't stay, we have no idea. But if they do stay, if they are deducted 15 points, it really makes that top 4. It opened the door for Lazio, Roma, Atalanta, Udinese, even if they really want to push up. I don't think they will, but whatever. It pushes them all up. But Conference League, Europa League, like it moves all of them higher up into the table, and it makes things really interesting. I think that Roma are getting better, especially character-wise. We spoke about it a lot last show, though. Anything else?
It is a pleasure to see Abraham and Dybala together. I mean, it's really looks so beautiful to look at it. The two of them, they understand each other so good. I hope that Roma gets another forward. I would like to see another forward, especially if they sell Zaniolo and they get some money. Just get a nice another forward to put up there, and I think that would be good.
I want to
Talking
finish
about
with
Ziyech.
this if I can. AC Milan or Inter Milan, either one of those two teams, they're not going to make it to the top 4.
Okay.
One of those two.
Who, AC Milan? Or?
Either AC Milan or Inter, they're not going to make the top 4
I don't
this
think
year.
so. I don't think so.
You know what's kind of scary, though? for both of those teams, when you think about the derby coming up on February 5th, both of those teams, it's a fight for top 4 more than it is a fight for the Scudetto.
Can I say one last thing about what we talked before?
What?
When you make a trade,
Sure, you can.
can you have a judge there and say, okay,
Like
I'm
a core?
looking, I'm looking at the trade, and when they make the trade, and then have somebody from the federal or from the league say, okay, this is a good trade, go ahead, and they stop saying, oh, this is not a good trade, and you stop.
How long is that going to take though? It's going to be way too
Well,
time consuming.
they can do it.
Yeah, judge from Torino.
There's
Okay.
going to be no deadline transfers.
Huh?
Well, it's going to take too long for the last day of the Mercato. Everyone's going to go crazy.
No.
You think like a quick one, like
I'm
a
talking
video
about
call and do
when
it quick?
they do the trade.
Sometimes Gaetano, they make the last 5 minutes before the
the last 5
deadline.
minutes is
to
like
have
2
a judge
seconds.
there to decide, hey, this is a good trade, and something is fishy here.
It's going to be way harder to push it, but it's a right step in the right direction in terms
That's
of
what happened when you get caught, Paisa. You got caught with your cookie, with your hands on the cookie jar.
Cookie.
You got caught. right?
Listen.
You like the cookies?
If I were you, I wouldn't be smiling today. Today is not a day to smile for you.
I'm not
okay?
smiling.
I know you were
I just said
smiling.
it.
Napoli, Juventus, you were smiling. You were all happy, but today is not a day
I'm
for
not
you to
smiling.
smile.
I just said that AC Milan or Inter Milan, either one of those two teams, they're not going to make the Champions League.
Anton, you could have lost 15 points instead of 3, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're smiling less than me.
You don't wait until the
And
end.
then he's starting the podcast with 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. You know, trying to call over to the 4 goals like the for AC
Making
Milan,
fun of
right?
Milan, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for everyone for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao, ragazzi.
We are depressed.